Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Warning Track Power Podcast, Between the Seams, Episode 3. We got a good one in store for you. In this video, I will discuss pitching strategy and tunneling and how young pitchers can learn these tactics. Very commonly, people think that pitching is just sheerly who throws harder than who's got the velocity. But really, it's about the late life that really makes a pitch great, and its location that can do even better. Vicious looking pitches from pitchers do their part to make hitters look like they're seeing ghosts or don't know what the heck they're doing. You can make this happen, and I'm going to tell you how, because this is Tunneling for Dummies by Warning Track Power, the podcast, here on episode 3 of Between the Seams. Let's get it going. Let's start off by saying, what is tunneling? Well, tunneling pitches is simply making two different pitches look like the same pitch for the majority of the way to the plate. This is the way that pitchers disguise their pitches. It's some examples of this. You got the fastball up and the curveball down, sinker away, slider in, splitter changeup below the zone, fastball on the edge of the zone. Things that can make hitters watch pitches down the middle, and then you can be thinking, why did he not swing at that? Well, maybe because the pitch before it was a slider that started down the middle where that pitch was and ended off in the left-handed batter's box to a right-handed hitter. It is not an easy feat. Tunneling is not easy at all, but if you can get it down, you're going to be making hitters look stupid. And that is why you should tunnel your pitches. If you are already good with command on at least two pitches, you can learn how to make this a strong suit of you, and I will talk about that more later in the episode. Tunneling pitches allows the pitchers to confuse the hitters. We don't want to have hitters hit the ball. If they can watch pitches that are down the middle or swing at pitches that are nowhere close to the zone, that's a lot less work for us. And it makes us look a lot better as pitchers. And who doesn't want to look good? Tunneling also keeps that guesswork factor alive. If you are a hitter and you know what pitch is coming, just solely off of the way it looks, or maybe you're tipping your pitches or whatever, you are going to have a higher likelihood of hitting that ball with some authority. And obviously, pitchers are out there and they're trying to get that weak contact and the swing and misses. Tunneling can help you achieve that. Two or more pitches looking identical until the last moment. The hitter has no idea where to swing, when to swing, how to swing, or if to swing at all. And that is a pitcher's best friend. Confusion of the hitter is the greatest outcome for a pitcher. You are in total control if you can establish tunneling as good as this. Now, you know what tunneling is, and you know why you should do it. But what is it gonna help you, right? Well, what is the direct cause of this? Well, bad tunneling, if you're tipping your pitches, everything's looking different, it's free candy for the hitters. They're going to be all over them. Hits, homers, hard contact every day of the week. However, if you're good at tunneling and your pitches are good at backing it up, strikeouts and weak contact is going to be a very, very big part of your game. Hitters are confused and they lack the ability to make good swing decisions. And that is the difference between allowing 2 runs in a start and allowing 7. And you can take your pick as to which one you would like to rather have more. I know I would like the 2 runs, and I'm sure a lot of you guys would as well. But we know what tunneling is. This is now why you are at this point in the video. You know what tunneling is and what it leads to. But what are the types of tunneling? Well, there are 3 main types of tunneling: north-south, mirror image, aka the east-west, or the speeding ticket. We'll start off here by talking about the north-south tunnel. This one is your traditional one that you see guys pulling off. Fastballs up, curveballs down. Always leading to the misdirected swings or takes on what looks to be hittable. I remember I was watching Zach Gallen pitch against the Dodgers in a game, and Freddie Freeman is up, fastball way above the zone. Doesn't swing, it's a ball, way above the zone. Gallen then drops in a curveball right down the middle, right off the fastball. Freeman does not swing. He lets it go right down the middle. He looks stupid. Really stupid. The mirror image, or the east-west tunnel, that is your prototypical sinker and 2 seams in with your slider and cutter away. You're starting those pitches likely middle, and you're running the sinkers in and you're running the sliders away. Once again, misdirected swings or takes on pitches that look to be hittable. There is nothing more satisfying than throwing that inside sinker and then flicking that outside slider and just executing it perfectly just off the plate or maybe right on the plate, and they just have no idea what to swing at because they're like, oh, it's inside again. No, it's not. It's in the left-handed batter's box and you just whiffed on it. I know that is one of my favorite ones to do as being a pitcher myself. Sinker and slider combo gets me a lot of weak contact and a lot of swing and miss, so I'm all for that one. Now, the speeding ticket one. This is less tunneling and more sequencing, but the speeding ticket is really just fastballs followed by changeups and splitters. This is going to create swings and misses over the second offering, while also being able to generate the weak contact and out in front swings that are little ground balls to the 5-6 spot in the infield or the 3-4 for a lefty. Now, once again, the thing with the speeding ticket is you have to locate particularly well with that one. You have to locate really well with any form of tunneling. However, with that one, fastball down the middle is likely going to get crushed. If it doesn't, you're lucky, but like the changeup right off of that, staying in the middle of the zone, if they're on it, and they're gonna nuke it, and you don't want that, obviously. However, I will say that if you have that one down, that can be all you need to be one of the best pitchers on your staff. Totally transparent. You can be one of the best pitchers on your staff if you are able to do those things. Those are the 3 types. Now let's move on to some of the MLB masters of tunneling before I get into how a young pitcher can learn to tunnel. So who are the most notable MLB masters of tunneling? Well, we'll go back to the speeding ticket example, and Nathan Eovaldi, starting pitcher for the Texas Rangers, known for his high velo fastball with devastating splitter. This thing has some crazy movement to it. Eovaldi generates a bunch of whiffs, bunch of weak contact. He is one of the best in the business at the speeding ticket. Sonny Gray of the Boston Red Sox, starting pitcher now, was with the Cardinals, and before that with the Twins. and the Yankees in athletics. Um, but he is widely considered a master of tunneling across the league. All the types, the speeding ticket, the east-west, and the north-south. He has a really funky release point, and he's got high break stuff to go along with it, and he locates very, very well, which makes him one of the top tunneling pitchers in the sport. Zach Gallen, as I mentioned earlier, the north-south expert, high fastballs, that curve that he throws right off that, going back to that Freddie Freeman at bat, how he made Freddie Freeman a great hitter take a curveball right down the middle with barely any budge because of that fastball up that he threw right before it. And Paul Skeens, I find it insane what Paul Skeens can do with his pitches. Obviously, to start this year, he hasn't been too wonderful. I believe he's put up a 67.5 ERA in his first start. One start. It's not going to derail his whole season because, oh no, heaven forbid your career ERA jumps from 1.96 to 2.10 after one game. Oh no. But he is one of the masters of tunneling because everything tunnels off of everything with this guy. Fastballs and the sinkers, splitters, the splinker, whatever. Fastballs, sinkers, splitters, and then sliders to sweepers. What? Like, this guy will intentionally throw his sinker in the left-handed batter's box, and sometimes even in the dirt, just so he can throw a sweeper backdoor to a lefty and make them look stupid and helpless. Because let's face it, pitchers aren't nice people. They are trying to make you look bad. And if you give them what they want, they're just gonna keep making you look bad. Because pitching is confidence. Now, how can a young pitcher learn to tunnel? And this is really only a 5-step process that is a lot easier to do in words than in actions. I will say that I am, of course, not perfect. Because as a pitcher myself, I do my best to do these things all the time, but still sometimes stuff happens and you don't have everything working for you every day. And sometimes you just got to pivot. Obviously, before you even learn to tunnel, make sure that you can throw strikes with your fastball. You should not really be throwing anything else if you can't throw strikes with your fastball. Then develop a secondary pitch. Once you have a good sense for your fastball, then you can go a secondary pitch. Remember, late break is always better than big break. Big looping curveballs are not going to be good pitches. They might look cool on a video when you get a swing and miss one time, but they're not going to look so good when there's one guy that comes up to the plate on a high school team and absolutely annihilates the baseball. So the late break is what you want. But step one of this process, once you have a couple of pitches that you can spot up with decent command, arm speed and intent is the first thing that you should be worried about. The best piece of advice that I can give for this is to throw everything like it is a fastball until it is not a fastball anymore. You need that same aggressive fastball motion for every single one of your pitches. I have 5 pitches for my mix, and all of them, of the breaking balls, it's fastball intent, and then the slider and the curveball just become those pitches on the snap at the end. That is how you create the late movement, and the sharp late life is how it's effective. Then, step 2, mirror your mechanics. A repeatable delivery is everything. Everything should be identical or as close to identical as possible. Make sure you are not tipping your pitches. If you saw the example that I can think of, that I think everybody can think of, is 2024 playoffs. Devin Williams for the Brewers was tipping his pitches, fastball versus changeup. Thus, Pete Alonso hit a homer, and the Mets would end up going on to the next round of the playoffs. You don't want to tip your pitches, because tipping your pitches is quite literally giving the robber the keys to your house so he can go in and steal stuff. Why would you do that? I know I wouldn't do that. So why would you want to do that? I don't know. Step number 3. Understand the decision points. Your goal at this step is that every pitch should look the same for the first 20 to 25 feet. Why 20 to 25 feet? Because this is the time on the big diamond that the hitter is going to have to make the decision of when to swing, where to swing, how to swing, or not to swing. If they choose not to swing because they think it's a ball, they think it's a strike, obviously they're going to swing at it, and maybe it runs off the zone or runs in on their hands, and they're way away from it, or they're chasing something that's way high. If everything looks the same, they don't get the luxury of being, oh, hey, yeah, this is here. No, they don't get that. Step 4, strategic sequences. I am a firm believer that sequencing is the most important part of tunneling, because if you can't sequence, you can't tunnel. These are the types of tunnels, is what a sequence is. The north-south, the east-west, the speeding ticket. You need to ask yourself what works best for your arsenal. So if you got a fastball and a slider, you're going to want to be doing that east-west tunnel. Fastball and a curveball in the north-south. Fastball changeup, speeding ticket. These are just some examples. Learn how to use your arsenal to sequence towards tunnels, and you will be A-okay. And then step 5, just practice. Refine your control and the movement of your pitches, because the better your control, the better you tunnel. And that is what I have for how a young pitcher can learn how to tunnel. If you are still here, we have reached the end of the video. This was Between the Seams, episode 3, Tunneling for Dummies. And hopefully, after you listen to this, you are no longer a dummy. Please consider liking and subscribing if you so choose. Free helps out a ton. You can always change your mind later. And until next time, we're a few feet short of the fences here on Warning Track Power, but all in on the game. See you next time.